item on the agenda is part of our consideration of Senate current resolution 46, studying the effect of coal slurry on impoundments and underground injection. And at our last meeting, we had a presentation regarding the Princeton Public Water Supply Project. Mr. Chris Garrett made that presentation. We did not have time for questions. Mr. Jarrett or Mr. Ellum, are you going to refresh us on your presentation from last month? Did you have questions?
My name is Jim Ellers. I'm the Executive Director of the West Virginia Infrastructure Council. And I was asked to provide an update for the Printer water project down in Boone County in Printer, West Virginia. What I thought might be helpful quickly, I'll just recap the highlights of that, just to jog everyone's memory, and I think certainly I'm here to answer some questions. Printer was divided into phases of the total project. Phase 1 is substantially complete as we speak. There's 141 customers in the Printer area who now have good drinking water that didn't before. They've taken service. There's 184 meter settings have been put in. So there's still a few dozen customers that are not yet connected for various reasons. That project cost was $2.2 million. It was funded through Small Cities Block Grant, a contribution from the water company, and the Boone County Commission. The Printer Phase 2 was a little bit of a different story. Printer Phase 2 application was filed with our council in April of 2009 at a project cost of $2.85 million. It was proposed to serve 95 new customers. At the time, the funding package that was requested didn't seem to be quite realistic from the council's perspective. It asked for a rather large ARC grant in the amount of $1 million. It also asked for some stimulus IRA money, which they didn't make the application time frame for it. As we all remember, that those time frames were very short for the federal stimulus money applications. Also, the Phase 2 is just simply an extension of Phase 1 physically, and Phase 1 had not yet been completed as of that time. So the council, to summarize, felt that it was premature to approve Phase 2 simply because of the funding problems and because of the fact that Phase 1 had not yet been completed. They felt the project, that the application simply was just premature and needed a more viable funding package. And just to summarize with Phase 2, the project sponsor, the Boone County Public Service District, being the applicant for the funds, has not hasn't moved the project forward for another revised pre-application to my council. So as we speak, we have not yet seen a revised application. What I think is happening is that the Boone County Planning Authority has some other projects that they have right now that are in various stages of completion that are probably other projects that they're trying to get completed. And with that, sir, I'll open up for questions.
Other questions of Mr. Ellis? Delegate Barker?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What needs to be done for these 100 people?
Well, Delegate, I think the goal of moving Printer Phase 2 forward is we have to identify the number of customers that can participate. Just exactly what is the need out there. One of the things that I mentioned last month was that we're receiving reports that there is a land situation down there where a large land company owns the land that the folks built their homes on. And as these 5-year leases become due, they are terminating the leases. So there's folks that are moving out of the area. So the 95 customers that the project was originally based on may not be a good number now. What I've been told by the project engineer is that the district is trying to get some volunteers to go out and walk the neighborhood and try to get folks to sign users agreements that basically says, yes, I will commit to signing up for water if it becomes available at my property line. So I think that's the first thing, is just exactly what's the need out there. And then I think based on that, I think the project sponsor, along with their engineers and their accountants and their attorneys, and certainly with our assistance, I mean, we certainly are staying available to assist them in whatever capacity we can to look at what a viable funding package might be for the project. So I think, and then once that happens, I think they can look at what may be a viable funding project with the rates that have to be paid and what the county is willing to accept and the residents, and move forward. And then if there's any state money that's being applied for, they'll apply to the Infrastructure Council for it.
So it matters with the number of people that are open right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think that's one critical path in this that I think just, and it really goes to the heart of the project scope, which is just needing to know exactly how many customers out here are willing to sign up for it and want it. And then from there, the project can be scoped, and then we go from there with estimated costs and funding packages and so forth.
These leases are not being renewed for sure. Do you know that?
The information I received is that the company is terminating the leases. I don't know that I can say with 100% certainty that some have not been renewed, but the reports that we're getting is that there are families moving out because the leases are simply being terminated, which what was represented to me seemed to be that it was the standard, that there wasn't a whole lot of, if any, of the leases being renewed.
Thank you.
Other questions? Senator Ross.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sir, you say phase 1 is completed?
Yes, sir.
Did you have a certain on phase 2? I just wondered why it was, phase 2 will be an extension of phase 1.
Yes, physically, phase 1, and they were submitted for funding purposes and for design and for construction purposes as two separate projects. And I think there's several things that drove that. One was you had a customer base of around 184 to 185 potential customers in this one phase. The other phase, there's at most 95. Now we've subsequently seen that may be much less than that now because of the things going on. But the project was, and many times when you get into the funding packages, and I'm sure you know, Senator, the viability of the project rests with the number of customers and the investment on a per customer basis. With the phase 1 part of it, it came out to about $12,000 per customer. Even if you assume there's 95 customers with phase 2, that's still about $30,000 per customer. Now projects get funded that are higher than that, and that certainly isn't anything to eliminate, but I think it's something that the project sponsors and the planners take into account when they're trying to look at where to prioritize the projects down there at the local level, and in accordance with the rates as well, as what the rates are going to be.
Does the Infrastructure Council always wait till a certain phase is complete before they start the second phase? Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. I think in this particular case, if you have a water line, in this case, phase 1 was simply just physically had to be done before phase 2 could be done because it was a further extension. I think many times council will say, well, and it's all a matter of timing. If substantial completion of the first phase is imminent, is a short period of time away, then I think that may be a different story.